welcome back to another episode of I Demand a Homestead. So today what we are going to be talking about is preserving puffballs. I've made a couple of other videos on how to forage for puffballs, how to identify them, how to cook them. So this is going to be the last video, and this is going to be how to preserve them, because puffballs can be absolutely massive and they don't keep for too long. So you may not be able to eat all the puffball all in one go, and maybe you don't have enough friends that you want to give it out to, or maybe you just want to have some for the winter time. So we're going to talk about my 2 favorite ways to preserve puffballs. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you've got your puffball mushroom right here. You know that it's a puffball, you've identified it, right? Usually if it's a big blob like this, you can be pretty sure. And then when you cut it in half, you can see that it's beautiful, it's white, it's solid. Okay, there's no gills, there's no discoloration, any of those things you find in there, and then you don't want to eat it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the outside of this. So what I like to do is I just take a little nail brush and I just brush away all the big pieces of dirt. I take a damp cloth and I just give it a wipe. The first method we're going to talk about is going to be blanching and then freezing. I always tend to freeze puffballs. And here you can see inside of it, okay? Beautiful white, kind of cheese-like almost, but a little bit crumbly like a piece of bread. It's interesting, very interesting texture. So we're going to freeze these. I'm going to show you the 2 ways that I do it. First, I'm going to blanch them. So I'm going to cut them in about if I want to make, let's say, puffball Parmigiana or something, about 1.5 inch thick slices. So pretty big, but they're going to shrink down. All right, and I've got a frying pan here with some simmering water, and I'm just going to put my puffball in there. This little half piece here, okay? And I'm going to blanch it for 1 minute on that side, and then I've got this on high heat, and after that's done, then I'm going to flip it over, okay? It's important to blanch them because if you freeze them raw, they kind of, when you thaw them out, they have this really horrible liquid, that comes out that really is very, very stinky and unappetizing. So if you do it this way, that doesn't happen, okay? So very important. Then I'm just going to transfer them to a bowl with ice water, and that is just going to stop them from continuing to cook. Okay, and then I'm just going to keep going with all the ones that I want to use this method for. And then what I'm going to do after these are nice and cooled off is I'm just going to take them out and put them onto a cookie sheet with a little bit of toweling. I'm going to wrap the toweling around them like that, just so that all that moisture can be dried up. And then I carry on with the rest of my batches. My other favorite way to preserve puffballs is just to heat up the frying pan onto a medium-high to high heat and put a neutral oil in there. And then I prepare my puffballs as that is heating up. All right, and I'm just going to cut off the stalk here where that was attached to the ground. And then I'm going to cut this into cubes. Again, it's going to shrink, so I'm going to cut them into cubes, or little chunks, I guess, bigger than what I kind of want them to end up as. And this I'll do, and then I'm going to freeze them. This I'll do if I want to kind of use this as like a tofu substitute. That works really, really nicely. Once that pan is nice and hot, I'm going to put in my cubes. And then I'm just going to move them around. Ooh, loud. Okay. And I'm just going to put them onto a cookie sheet with a silicone liner there just to kind of keep everything clean. Let them cool off. All right, so here's what I've got from my sauteed puffball mushrooms. And the pieces are, I cut them pretty big, right? And they've shrunk down even more yet. So I'm going to use these probably to replace tofu. So they're just about the right size to put in a stir fry or to put in like a miso soup or something like that. So these, or a noodle soup. So these are going to be perfect, just like this. All right. Now I'm going to put those trays right into the freezer. Not to squish anybody. And then we're going to do the same thing for our blanched puffball slices. I'm just leaving them covered up just because it's easier. And I'm going to put them in a freezer as well. Okay, and here are our frozen puffballs. And you can see they come off quite nicely. And then I'm just going to pack them into a freezer bag in whatever kind of size portions you want. Could have labeled them beforehand, I suppose. Okay, and now we have our slices that have been blanched, and we're going to freeze those too. And then we'll label them. All right, so there you have it. We have got from probably about 4 medium-sized puffballs. We have got 3 bags of the steaks and 4 bags, enough for 4 meals, of the chunks that have been sauteed in oil. All right, so these are going to go back into the freezer now, and we're going to have them for meals in the wintertime. All right, so thank you for joining me on another episode of I Demand a Homestead. If you like this episode, please feel free to press the subscribe button, and we'll see you again soon. Let me know what you guys do with your puffball mushrooms, because I'd love to have ideas for other recipes. All right, everybody, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.